Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and it's Monday here again. It's QOTW, question of the week. And this week would have seen, specifically this Thursday, the king of comics, Jack Kirby, would have been 96 years old. Now, there's no denying the influence that this man had on comic books, not just of today, but all through his lifetime. So I wanted to know this week your personal Jack Kirby favourites, whether it's a creation that he's made, or just a single issue that he wrote and drawn, because he used to do everything. And let me know down in the comments section below. And as a bonus question this week, if Jack Kirby was alive today and at the height of his kind of creative genius, what title would you like to see him writing, drawing, creating? Now, last week, if you'd seen my question of the week, you'd have seen there'd been a bit of a hiatus in me answering your questions because I'd been tagged in the Get to Know a Comic person. And I still had some questions to answer from the previous week, which I'm about to do now. And it was quite fortunate because I only had one question last week. Come on people, if you want this section of my videos to keep going, you're going to have to ask me some questions. Otherwise this is going to be a very short video. Let's crack on with the questions though. Good old Jess S, she stumped up with a question. And she asked, are there any specifically British comics that we don't have over in the US? To be honest, not a great deal, at least not to the huge extent that American comics have kind of permeated like the UK life. The only one I can think of that's kind of aimed at a more older audience, and by that I mean, you know, a lot of the comics that come out in the UK are aimed at children specifically. And so they're based on cartoons, or they're kind of long ongoing, like the Beano, which I've spoken about before. It's kind of a funny strip. You get a story with all these characters, and they'd be like 2 or 3 pages long. There is no kind of overarching storyline. They are just funny, kind of done in one, farcical kind of little, not little children, but kind of, you know, young teenagers who are kind of battling against their parents and being a little bit rebellious, but in a very family friendly orientated way. I know that you get kind of like 2000 AD over there and the Judge Dredd magazine, so I couldn't really pick those. But the only one I can think of that you might not know, it's a kind of pocket-sized comic book called Commando. I believe it's still going out. I still see it on the shelves of newsagents, and they kind of tell war stories, and they are usually about British soldiers from the past, the present. Not something I'm really into. I remember reading a few of them here and there, but not something I was greatly into. Now, Joshua Hayes asked, which superhero / supervillain do you think would make the best lead singer of a cheesy 80s hair band? Now, I presume by hair band he means like those kind of over-the-top, very theatrical rock bands. That's the only kind of image I can get from the cheesy 80s hair band. And when I first read this question, the kind of superhero just came straight to me straight away, because for some reason his image is emblazoned on my mind, because it is so bad, it is so over the top. It's very Marvel, late 80s, early 90s, and that was Adam X. He's got the whole hair going, he's got the baseball cap turned backwards, he's got the big shoulder pads, and I can just see him screeching down a microphone to some god-awful cheesy rock hit. Now the super villain was a little bit trickier. I had to go and have a look through a couple of my encyclopedias to try and find something, and I stuck with Marvel because I don't often choose Marvel characters for my examples, so I stuck with Marvel. And kind of like for the theatrical element of it, I went for Nightmare. He's got that kind of David Bowie-esque stance. He's got the kind of, it looks like he's got this whole kind of facial makeup a la Kiss. He's got the kind of long hair, he's a bit goth, he's a bit rock. He's just a little bit scary. So those are my two lead singers. Let's do the odd one from, of course, Wednesday Serial. Why would you ask this? But you asked, how do you achieve that hairdo? I wash my hair, I dry my hair, and if I want to treat myself, I might put some wax in it. Generally, it just falls where it falls. Why would you ask that? Thank you very much for that, Matt. Finally, and a rather intricate, thought-provoking story question from Derek Lucarelli. I hope I've said that right. His question, it's a bit of a long one, but I'll get through it. You are a writer for DC and given the chance to write an epic story arc. The main plot will culminate in the final issue where the ultimate ending involves a fight between a member of the Bat family against one of Batman's rogues. The stipulation here was that I couldn't choose Batman, Nightwing or Joker. So what would I choose? So I did have to think about this for a while, and I know, like a writer, I read comics, I appreciate comics, I appreciate the hard work and the clever storytelling that, you know, most comic book writers have, and I can only dream of being that clever or that good. So this is kind of a basic skeleton of a story. The two kind of Bat characters I chose for our kind of Bat family hero, I specifically wanted Batgirl, but I wanted Cassandra Cain's version, and there's a reason for this. Cassandra Cain was she was brought up by Lady Shiva and someone Cain, I can't remember his name now, but she was trained up to be this kind of master assassin, but it was kind of like devoid of human kind of contact and speech, so she was very socially awkward and illiterate, and so she's kind of an outsider amongst Bat family outsiders, really, and I wanted to kind of team that up with someone that was kind of the opposite of her, who dealt a lot with sound, but had almost the kind of the same attributes in that they were a master assassin themselves. And I decided to use quite a recent villain created by Kevin Smith called Onomatopoeia. Now, while he's a great marksman, he's a master assassin, he also has this ability to mimic sounds like raindrops, gunshots, and the like. Now, my story kind of involves Onomatopoeia's use of the drug venom, which is a kind of steroid enhancer. But this is a specific, because usually it's in strength, but this is a different strain of venom, and this allows Onomatopoeia to create even more elaborate sounds, more dangerous sounds that can cause people harm. So the story will progress, and onomatopoeia's use of the drug venom becomes more and more, and he becomes an addict, and eventually he overdoses. The big finale is kind of Batgirl and onomatopoeia taking each other on, and although Batgirl wins this fight with onomatopoeia, in his seemingly dying breath, onomatopoeia creates, because he's so hooked up and jacked up on this venom, that he creates the largest explosive sound he can in his, as I said, seemingly dying breath. This is in the centre of Gotham, and it kind of blows everyone's eardrums, so they are now all deaf. The whole of Gotham is kind of in ruins. You know, you've got the sound of the explosive sound creating such a vibration that, you know, windows are smashed out, it's toppled buildings. And then the next storyline would be called Silent Gotham, where, you know, no one obviously can talk, so everyone has to kind of communicate in other ways. So that's kind of the bare skeleton of what I thought would be a great idea for a backstory for what you gave me. So Derek, I hope that answered your question. Like I said, I'm not a writer, but there you go. Given the right writer, that could be a pretty good story. People have it. Do what you will with it. Thank you all very much for the questions from a couple of weeks ago. Remember, if you want to ask me any kind of pop culture, comic book related question, then please also add it in the comments section down below, and I will answer it in next week's video. It's up to you, otherwise I'm just going to keep asking you questions every week. Until Wednesday, when you'll find out all about my pull list this week. Though, given it's a bank holiday, I've just thought it might be a day late. I didn't think of that. Okay, we'll find out. You'll see me when you see me. Bye bye.